It's time to kick up your life with Master Mel.
You could be the hero, you could get the gold. Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke.
Learn how to optimize your business and your life with Master Melodee Meyer. As she speaks with thought leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and high achievers to discover their secrets of success. Master Mel uses her experience in martial arts, nutrition, fitness, and psychology to help you kick it up to the next level of mastery in your life. And now, here's your host, Master Mel.
All right. Well, I am so excited today because I get to have one of my heroes on my show. Yay! I'm excited to introduce to you today, peeps, Cynthia Rothrock. She is the undisputed queen of martial arts films. She's an undefeated world karate champion, holds 5 black belts in various Eastern martial arts disciplines, and she's been recognized in so many black belt Hall of Fames, I can't even name them all. She's been on the cover of every magazine that has anything to do with films. And I am so pleased to talk to her today about what it's like to be Cynthia Rothrock and what she's up to now and really how she got from where she started to where she is today. So welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So we had some fun getting on all this new technology, didn't we? But we're here, and I'm so glad because this is really our debut on Crowdcast. So people can be in the chat room. We're also live on Star Worldwide Networks. We've got Ed, our producer, here. And for those of you who are watching us, who can see us, and those of you who are on the radio, you're welcome to just stay tuned there or join us live. So, Cynthia, whereabouts in the world are you right now?
Well, now I'm home. I'm home in Southern California. Kind of excited because I'm home for about a week and a half.
And then you're heading off where?
Then the next thing, I'm a guest speaker in Charlotte, North Carolina for the Legends Nomination Hall of Fame. And then right from there, I come back the next day. I go to Switzerland for the Swiss Hall of Fame.
So are you gone a lot? Like, do you travel a lot?
I do. It comes in spurts. Sometimes I'm like all over the place, like, consistently. Like, I think in the beginning of the year, I was 3 and 8 weeks. And then I have other times where, I'm home a lot. So it's a crazy life. I love it.
Yeah, you love it. So are you doing mostly appearances? Or are you doing some more acting? What all are you up to?
Well, it's kind of, I do all three. I'm still acting, doing films. I teach seminars all around the world. And also I get to do like guest appearances at Hall of Fames or, different kind of martial art events. So it's kind of a combination of all three.
Yeah. What's your favorite? What is it that you love doing these days?
Oh, well, obviously, I have to say films. Filming is still, where my heart is. If I could be doing that all the time, I would love that. But then again, I really love teaching people, because basically, I am a martial art teacher, and I love training and teaching people. So it's very close between those two.
So are you teaching people like in the film business, or are you teaching, like, do you have your own students that you're sort of taking through the ranks?
Well, I used to have a couple studios, but then when I started doing films, I wasn't there that much, so I had to stop that. But right now, I have a couple private lessons that I teach some students, and sometimes when I travel, I'll teach private at the seminars, but most of the time it's just going to different schools and teaching the students in the schools.
Okay, so other people's schools, you come in like as a guest instructor type of idea?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so are you teaching weapons or are you doing, open hand stuff? What are you?
I do a lot of things. The last one I did, I taught weapons, broadsword. It depends on what the school wants. Like some of my popular seminars are like kicking techniques and fitness and stretching, because I developed a program for fitness that's a little bit different than what most martial artists are accustomed to. I also do fight choreography for film, for schools that have, students that's interested in getting in film. And then sometimes I'll do forms. So it all depends. I can gear it to whatever, the particular school wants.
So do you do your own choreography when you do your films?
You know what? I don't like to do my own choreography because I would like to more focus, on my acting. But sometimes I have to come in. The best situation for me is if I have a choreographer that I really love and they know what kind of moves I like, and then I can go in and just tweak something here and there. I've been in situations where, the choreography wasn't that great, so I'd have to say, okay, let's do this. But I'm doing choreography, just, other people's.
Yeah. Oh, your dog. Oh, fun. Who's your dog there in the back that we see?
Oh my gosh, that is Jaden, and I have one right here sitting under, and I have one looking at me here. I have 5 dogs, and 4 of them right now.
Gosh, they must miss you when you're gone.
Oh yeah. They have taken over my office, and it's just, that's the dog couch that you see there. It's not too nice, but they love it, and I can't get rid of it because, that's what they like. So I let them take over my office.
Cool. Well, can you take us back to the beginning before you were Cynthia Rothrock? I guess you've probably always been Cynthia.
I've always been. Yeah,
but
well.
How you got started on this path and when you knew that this is what it is you really wanted to do with your life.
Okay. Well, when I was a kid, I started martial arts when I was 13, and I used to do a lot of things. I would do dance, I would do music lessons, I would do baton lessons, I would do everything. And finally, one of my friend's parents were studying martial arts, and I saw it, and I said, oh, I'd like to try that. And my mother at that point was so fed up with me trying these things and then quitting, not really staying with something, that she signed me up for 4 months and said, you're going to do 4 months. Well, it started off, I was the only girl in the class. It was all guys, and they were all shouting and punching, and I was very intimidated, and I didn't like it. And I told my mom, I don't want to go. And she said, well, I got to pay for 4 months, you're going. And somewhere around 2 months into it, my instructor had a speech, and he looked like right at me and said, like, quitters aren't winners, they're losers. And I thought he was just saying that to me. And he said, the reason people don't like it is because you don't train and practice. And I started thinking about it and said, yeah, I don't, So I started practicing, and I started getting good. And then once I started getting good, that to me, I think was the biggest lesson I've ever learned in martial arts, is that, you don't give up on things just because it's hard, and that you keep striving forward to do it, and you're going to exceed. And that's a perfect example. I went on to become, forms champion, weapons champion, and then doing movies. And none of this would have happened if I would have gave up when I wanted to.
I want to do today is really talk about some of those things that we learn in the dojo and we learn on the mat, and how they translate really off the mat into the rest of our life. So that's a good one. So you had an instructor, you thought he was speaking specifically to you. And don't we always think?
Well, he was staring at me.
Yeah. And you were the only girl in the class.
Well, there was one other girl in the class. She was already a black belt, but I thought she was a man, and then, because it just looked like one then. And I tried to be friends with her. And then on my second lesson, my instructor put me in sparring class, right, which I knew nothing about. And she kicked me in the head, almost knocked me out. And I was like, oh, she's not my friend. And then again, I wanted to go home because I was 13 years old and got hit in the face. But after I became a black belt, then we became friends. As actually we had a competition, and when I used to compete in forms, it used to be all ranks, and I was just an orange belt. I was studying 5.5 months, and I had to compete against her in form because it was white belt to black belt, and I took second place, third. So I was like, yes, right?
Oh, wow.
And then she talked to me,
No wonder she didn't like you. No wonder she didn't like you.
And what, at that point, when I took second in black belt, it made me think, hey, I could be really good in this sport because I've only been studying for a short time. And, took second place in a division that had many, many black belts. So that was actually my little fuel of fire to train harder and be good, you know, in martial arts competition. I wanted to be the best.
Were you good in other sports?
You know, I am now. I think at that point I wasn't, because I didn't give myself enough time. You know, I was kind of one of those kids that it was like, okay, you know, I was doing baton and I was in parades and I'd spin it up and I'd drop it and I'd be really embarrassed and go, okay, that's it, I can't do it anymore, you know. Like dance lessons, same thing, you know. But now I am. Now I'm really, I think after I retired from competition, I went to do films. Then I started saying, oh, I want to go backpacking. I want to go skiing. I want to, you know, I started learning all these things, because when I was competing in martial arts, that's all I wanted to do was martial arts, martial arts, martial arts. And I would only do another sport if, like, I would do ballet, because I thought, oh, that would help with flexibility, and gymnastics, because that would help with my martial arts. But pretty much I was 100% focused on martial arts during the whole time I was competing.
So you started competing right away. You just jumped right into competing, and you started doing really well. And weren't you competing against like a lot of men, a lot of males as well? It wasn't, you didn't just have like a female category.
Well, you know what? At that time, it was a little strange, because I always had to compete in men's division for weapons. In my whole entire career, I've never competed in a women's weapons division. When I went for grand champion, they never had a women's grand champion, so I had to compete against the men for that. Some tournaments I had to go in form with the men, but fighting has always been women, so I never had to go against, you know, men for fighting.
Okay.
Today's competition's much different now.
Yeah, it's so much different. But this is back when they didn't have a lot of women, so you really couldn't have a women's division, really, right? Because there wouldn't be enough.
No, there wasn't enough. You know, they would have, like I said, in form, it was all belts. You know, so you could be a beginner, you could be training 30 years, you were still in the same division. And as time went on and people started becoming more familiar with martial arts and more women were getting involved in the sport, then it would open up different divisions. Like I used to have women say, oh, can you wear lipstick while you're doing martial arts? Or I'm like, yeah, why not? Or, you know, you're so little, how could you really do that? Because there was a big fallacy at that time that you had to be a man to do martial arts, that it was more a man's sport, you know. And, you know, over all this time, we've changed the idea that now it's for everybody, and everybody needs to know self-defense.
Well, that's what I've always loved about seeing you in different films, is because you didn't look like a man.
Sometimes I think a few of them I did, but
no, but it's true. Like even you were very strong and powerful, but you were still a woman, and yeah. I always really appreciated that, and held you as sort of like a great mentor for that, because in order to, you know, remain, because, you know, you think of other sports that have been typically dominated by men, like bodybuilding or something like that, where the women start looking more manly as they get better in that sport. And but you have managed to, you know, especially with the hair flying and all of it, really kept a lot of your femininity, and it's still really strong. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So was that ever a conscious thought? Like, did you ever thought that you would be, you know, sort of blazing a trail for women?
You know what? I didn't know at the time, but when I started, when I was competing, I was on the cover of Karate Illustrated magazine, and Bernardo Barton, he was the editor, and he wanted to put me on the cover. And then the owner said, no, we can't put a woman on a cover. She's not going to sell. And he fought for me, and I got on it, and it sold out. The cover sold out. So that opened doors for women on martial art magazine covers. And I think same thing with forms. When I was first started doing American films, I was always the girlfriend, you know, and then in the end, or the partner, the guy would come in and save me. And then I did, you know, I did China O'Brien, where I was the lead, and it worked well. So I think that opened some doors too for women, you know, and it's still a little crazy, you know, it's still, you see all the action men stars, but there's only like a handful of, women stuff, so it's still kind of like the same thing. But I do think I opened doors. Like some women would say, hey, in your next movie, can you be an attorney? Because I'm an attorney, and then they would say, one of the things I loved is that I started to do martial arts because I saw your film, and I realized that you're like only 5'3", and you could do those moves that I could do them too. So that's like one of the great things that I hold deeply, in my heart, is that I've gotten some women involved in martial arts, and men too, from seeing films.
Yeah, but some of the things that you do, I mean, I've been training now 20 years. I can't do them still. Like I was watching a reel of you the other day, all your kicking. Oh my gosh. What is that one kick, the one up over your head? Is that called the scorpion?
Yeah, they call it the scorpion. It was the Rothrock sting. And basically how I actually devised that kick is that I was doing a ballet class and we were holding onto the bar and they said, okay, try to kick your foot to the back of your head. And I did, and I almost knocked myself out. So I said to my partner, I said, hey, grab me in this position and let me see if I can hit your head. And I hit him, and then I almost knocked him out. We were like, yeah, that's a great move. So we started doing it in demonstrations. I did it in my first film, which was Yes, Madam, a Hong Kong movie. And when I did it, like everybody started cheering. And so I just started doing it, and it became known as the Rothrock sting or the scorpion kick. So yeah, that's the history.
I didn't know that you originated that kick, Cynthia. That's amazing. I mean, I think the first time I saw it was on The Matrix.
Yeah, right. You know why? Because I did that movie in Yes, Madam, and Corey Yoon directed it. And then Corey Yoon was also the choreographer for Matrix. So I'm sure he put that in, because when we were on the set, he said, is there one move that you really like that we can add in? And I said, yeah, there is. And then when he saw it, he was like, oh, I love it, and so that's why he used that in there.
Wow, that's cool. That's a good piece of trill. That's awesome. Yeah, that kick is amazing. And to see you do it over and over, like in that I don't know what reel I was looking at, but every once in a while it's coming out, bam, it's like, how the heck do you do that? I mean, are you still that flexible?
Oh yeah, I do it all the time. A lot of times at seminars, people will say, hey, can you do that? And I remember a funny story is James Cameron was developing some cameras for Avatar. And a friend of mine was working with him. So he said, come on in. And I was like, oh yeah, with James Cameron. And the guy was bald, right? Well, here's James Cameron and all these Japanese guys, and they're watching us. And I kicked so hard, the guy all of a sudden got this big lump on his head, like it was like a big goose egg, right? Well, then his wife was one of the writers for Avatar. So she called up James Cameron the next day and said, what'd you do to my husband? His head is all purple. And I was like, oh, because that kick, it's hard to control. Because I don't know, my head is down and I'm coming up. So sometimes when people say, hey, can you do that to me? I'm a little weary to do it. If I know the person and I know that if I tap them a little bit harder, they could take it.
Okay, so that just made me realize that some people, especially those on radio, may not actually even know what we're talking about with this kick. So this, the Rothrock sting, is a kick that comes up from behind and up over her own head and hits someone in front of her. Okay, I know that's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but it's even harder to wrap your leg around because it's actually coming up from behind. So it takes amazing flexibility for the body, and then enough contraction with your hamstring and your glutes to be able to push that foot up over your head. That's crazy.
Well, they could I think see it, because the last one of the recent films that I've done was The Martial Art Kid, and I do it in that. And then at the end of the scene, the coordinator, James Liu, said, hey, let's do it from a different position. So he had me on my hands and knees. So I had to kick all the way over from my hands and knees, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do it, but let's try it. And I did, and it works out good. So you can see it two different versions in The Martial Arts Kid.
Okay, well, let's talk about The Martial Arts Kid for a moment. So when did you shoot that?
We shot it about a year and a half ago, and it's the producers, James Wilson and Michael Baumgarten, you know, they said they wanted to do a nice family film, you know, and they came to me and they said, would you like to do it? I said, yeah, I'd love to. I've always liked to do family stuff because, you know, I have a daughter, and, you know, when she was younger, I wanted to be on like Big Bear and the House and the Wiggles, you know, so it was something I like to do, you know, and it kind of was good. It was the first time I had a daughter in a film, you know, so I can relate to that. And it's a really, really great message. And another film, two more films I'm going to start working on. One is called The Peculiar Perils of Penelope Peacock, and The Vindicator. And both of them have really good morals, just like The Martial Art Kid. You know, that if anybody sees the film, it's not only entertaining, but they're going to walk away with, like The Martial Art Kid is for kids, not to deal with bullying. You know, that bullying is not cool, and we're not going to tolerate it. The Perils of Penelope Peacock is like about women, like girls and women that feel, you know, that they're not happy with themselves, and they don't love themselves, and they feel like, you know, like losers, and they give up on life. It's the transformation, how, you know, not to feel that way. And The Vindicator is a really good family based film. So those I love doing films like that. Of course, I like the action, but when they have a meaning to it, it's a little bit better.
The Vindicator is a family film?
It is. It actually is. We're writing the script right now, and I am going to be one of the producers on it. And yeah, it is a, well, I don't know what the rating will be, but I think it's going to be a faith-based film. So it's definitely not going to be R.
Faith-based martial arts film?
Yes. And I don't think they've had that before. So I'm kind of excited about that it's going to have good action, but then again, a good message, you know, for, you know, believing in God and faith or whatever.
That's awesome. No, I love that. Okay, so family films. So you've done so many different kinds of genres. You did a lot of Asian films that aren't even in English, right? Like you have a whole period there of those films. Can people still get their hands on those things?
Yeah, you can. I think, you know, some of the favorites was Yes, Madam, Righting Wrongs, and what was the other one called? They changed the names, Lady Reporter. And you could go to Google, and I think you could like either watch scenes for them, or you might even be able to watch the whole movie, you know, or go to YouTube, that you can find them on there. And even to this day, you know, they were done like in the end of the 80s and the 90s. The action is still holds up. You know, I think in my whole career, my Hong Kong films have been my best action films for fighting.
They know how. They know how to do action films there.
Incredible. But you know what? Here's the thing. The thing is, when you're doing a movie in Hong Kong, like my first movie was 7.5 months. So you have the ending fight scene took 1 month. When we did Martial Art Kid, we shot it in 2.5 weeks. So there's only so much you could do. So that is true. That, you know, the more time you have, the more, like you could take like 1 week just on a major stunt, you know. So we had a lot of time doing the Hong Kong films. So, you know, you got to take that in consideration too.
And like take that much time with them. That's crazy. I've never even heard of that. 7 months for a film.
Yep, 7.5. The second one I did was 5.5 months. So you're not shooting every day. In Hong Kong, it's a little bit different. They have all the actors hired, but the other actors can do other movies at the same time. So you might be like, oh, we can't come in today because so-and-so is working on another film. So you're not working every single day. And then sometimes you'll go, well, the script isn't finished yet for this scene, so you wait till that comes in. So it's a little different mentality filming there and here.
So did you learn to speak any other languages?
I did. When I was first there, everybody spoke Cantonese, and I would just be like, hi, you know, and just smiled a lot. So I said, well, I better start learning. And they said, well, learn Mandarin. So I started learning Mandarin, but nobody spoke it. It was all Cantonese. And then I started learning Cantonese, and I got to a point where I wasn't like really good with it, but I could tell the taxi cab driver where to go. You know, I could translate with a little bit of sign language between the director and the actors. You know, I could order in restaurants. So I got to a point where, I was survivable there, if that's even a word.
So how long did you live in Hong Kong for?
3 years. And then I went back. I lived there for 3 years. And then I went back 2 years later and did another film. And then I went back again and did another film.
Will you go back again?
I would love to go back. You know, I would love to work with Corey Yoon again. I really want to. I miss the Hong Kong action, you know, because that's what I really love doing. And so, you know, there's another project that I'm going to be doing called The Amazing Shanghai Dragons with Sam Hong. And I'm sure if Sam Hong is involved, we'll get some Hong Kong action in that. But I would love to have Yun Kwai be a director for me again, because I know the action would be brilliant.
Well, if you're a producer, you have more opportunities to kind of go where you want.
Sure. Again, we're dealing with budget. So, you know, I think probably this one movie we're going to do, Yun Kwai's salary is probably bigger than the budget of the whole film. So I know I once called him once to be a coordinator, and his, again, salary was bigger than our whole film. And he said, just look at Yes Madam and copy the fight scenes, you know. And I was like, it's not that easy, because you need all the stunt people that can do all that. That's another thing too, is, you know, the stunt people are incredible there as well.
So what part of that whole, like, I know what it takes to put a movie together, and it's a big, long process. It can take years sometimes, right, to put together. What parts of that are the most interesting to you now at this stage? Like, a producer, of course, has many, many different roles. Is there a part of producing that you like? Is it the choreography? Is it the acting? What parts, if you could really come up with your own job description, what would you be spending your time doing?
Well, I think, you know, first of all, I love being the actor. That's, you know, what I want to do, is I want to be on the camera. But producing is, you know, another step that I'd like to get in. I was a producer on Martial Art Kid, and then on this next project, well, actually the next couple projects I will be. And the best thing for me is that I can control a little bit more. I can control who's casting it, who's doing the choreography, who the director is, because out of all the other films I did, I never really had control of that, you know, so you just had to go with whoever was there. And, you know, you could bet, you know, your butt, if I have this control for the action, that I'm going to try to get some of the Hong Kong action in.
Some Hong Kong action. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you care?
So if you watch the Hong Kong movies, you know, and then you watch American movies, you know, you can see there's a difference. And I love them both, but personally, I like doing all the crazy stuff in the Hong Kong action.
Yeah, no, it's fun. What do you think about, this is totally off subject, but what do you think of what Tarantino's done with bringing in some of that?
Yeah, well, I love his films, you know, and he definitely starts off with a great story. You know, he has amazing actors, and, you know, he gets the good action coordinators. And he went into that basically because he originally worked in a video store, and he used to watch all those movies from, you know, the 80s, or even probably before that, you know, 70s, 60s, you know, all those old, you know, Hong Kong movies and action pictures. So he became a big fan. And
that's why I want to tell you, I can really see you doing a Tarantino film at some point.
I would, me too.
Yeah, I'm going to whisper in his ear. So if you still love doing the acting, do you care what the script is about? Like, does the story matter to you, or do you really like to go to the action scenes and see what's happening there?
No, to me, the story is actually more important, because, you know, a lot of times, like in the early, you know, 90s, you know, it was more about the action, not the story sometimes. And then people just fast forward to the action, you know, so you really, to me, right now, the story is good, you know, has to be the priority. Sometimes, you know, we do jobs because we want to work, and you just hope that, you know, okay, well, you know, it comes off good with story, but, you know, have good action. So, but if I really, for every actor wants a good story, you know?
Yeah.
But you have to, sometimes you do some of them that aren't, you know, that good.
Have you ever, like, refused to do something?
I did do projects basically that had like a lot of nudity, and I turned that down.
Yeah, nude scorpion kick.
Yeah, no, that would not work. And also I remember, now it's different because I took time off when I had my daughter. So now it's like, I'm just happy to work and do some things. But I remember at one point I was like, if I'm another hooker in a downtown bar, I'm not doing it. And then someone sent me a script. Oh, here I am, a hooker in the downtown bar. I was like, okay, now.
How many movies have you been in? I counted over 50 on your.
Yeah, probably about that, somewhere around in there,
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I've never really counted them, and some of them have different titles. It's the same movie, different titles. So, but yeah, you're probably right, somewhere around 50.
Yeah. Well, I want to now sort of transition. Well, we talked about how you got started and you started in competition. And then how is it that you went from that, being a kid in martial arts and winning and getting lots of attention there? How did you jump from that into movies, or was there something in between?
Well, when I was training, I used to study in New York City, and I used to study with Sean McConnell. He would take us. I would go once a week because I lived in Pennsylvania and he was in New York. So every Sunday, I would go there and work out. And he would take some of the students to Chinatown and see movies. And I loved Jackie Chan. I would steal his moves and go home and practice them. And I never ever thought I would be in a movie ever, but I thought I just want to move like Jackie Chan. And I was on the West Coast demonstration team, and they got a call from Paul Naslik, who was the editor of Inside Kung Fu, saying there's a Hong Kong company here, and they're looking for a guy. They're looking for a new Bruce Lee. And Ernie said, can we bring the girls? And they said, yeah, you can bring them, but, they're not looking for a girl. So we went down, and I had to do some form, weapons, fighting, and self-defense. And even Quay actually was there holding the auditions, and he liked me. And then they said, well, we're going to go with a girl instead of a guy. So that's kind of how it all got started. I went and did my first movie, Yes Ma'am, and I thought, oh, I was just going to do one movie. I never thought it was going to be a career. I was just excited to say, hey, maybe I'll be on a movie poster, and someday I could show my kids and say, look at what Mom did, So I really, when I did my first movie, I had no idea that it was going to be a career. I just thought, wow, this is something very exciting and different. And the first movie was a big hit. And then, it did well, and I kept getting offer after offer. So then the second movie, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to do films.
So were you in school at the time, or what were you doing when this all happened?
No, at the time, I was already top martial art weapons and forms. I moved to California, and I was teaching. I had a martial arts school, and I was
Okay, so you were already on a path of being a professional martial artist, but as a school owner.
Well, I had a goal. I was going to do it 5 years, and then I wanted to retire because, a lot of people say, oh, I've been 7 years champion, I've been this and that. Well, I was 5 years undefeated, but I would compete at least 30 times a year. So we're talking, over, 30 times a year for 5 years undefeated. And that was my goal. And I figured if I could do that for 5 years, never being defeated, that I would like to retire, that. So my whole focus was I have to do that. And I did my film on my 5th year of my goal of retiring. So I was going to even quit. I need to go back to Minneapolis to compete, when I was doing the Hong Kong movie. And then I went back and forth, and finally, it was like a point system. They said, you're number one. And then I was like, it was kind of sad for me, but it was actually a great transition because then I went from, finishing my goal of being undefeated for 5 years to doing a film career. So I was really blessed in that aspect that it just was a very nice transition.
Okay, wow, I like that. So how is it that you stay in shape now? Are you still just doing martial arts, or what else do you do for fitness?
After I stopped competing, then like I said, I started doing, different sports. What I do now is I do a lot of trekking. I recently trekked to base camp in Everest. I just a couple weeks ago came back from trekking a week in the Canadian Rockies, and then in November I'm going to be trekking the Inca Trail in Machu Picchu. So I like doing adventure. I kind of, on a regular routine, I'll walk my dogs. I have 5, right? So that's a pretty big walk. I like to do cardio in the gym. And I think too, I just run around a lot. If I have a movie coming up, I'll get a little more serious than what I do on a normal daily basis. And then I'll probably, I would work out definitely in the gym every single day. So kind of, depends on what I'm doing around that.
So is it mostly cardio that you do, or are you doing weights, or what? Or are you practicing martial arts?
I like moving fast. I like sweating. I do weights, and sometimes I like it, but if I have the choice, I would much rather be doing cardio. But actually just the other day at the gym, I was like on the cardio machine. I was like, I should start doing some weights. I need to firm up my arms a little more. So, I always tell my students sometimes what you don't like is better for you. Like they go, I hate push-ups, I hate, sit-ups. Well, that's what you need. And so I'm like, I'd rather do cardio. It's like, you know what? I need to do the weights.
And how about nutrition? Where are you in there? Do you have,
again, if I'm doing a movie, I pretty much stick to eating protein and vegetables, but obviously like now I'm not doing movies. So I just try to eat good. I do like the occasional dessert, if I go out somewhere to a restaurant. My theory is if I'm going to feel bad because I ate it, I'm not going to eat it. But if it's going to be so good that I can't miss out, I'll eat it. And, I like my favorite food is pasta and pizza for people that know me. So I kind of eat that, sometimes. But usually I try to stick to, a moderate, somewhat healthy diet.
And how do you deal with stress?
Oh, stress. How do I deal with stress? Well, when you find me in the Korean spa for 12 hours a day, I really need to stress release, and that's kind of one of the things I do. Or I'll go on like a trip, like I did the Canadian Rockies. I was feeling like pretty stressed with a lot of different things that were going on, and then I was just out there in the mountains, like one with nature, and that kind of makes me feel good. And like even now, like I have my Machu Picchu trip. If something starts bothering me, I start stressing, I can look forward to that. So I like go to my friends saying, I want to go to Antarctica. Let's book Antarctica because I need something to look forward to. Going, okay, but I will be, in Machu Picchu then. So I think that's my distress. How to distress is either go to get a massage, or go to the Korean spa because I love that, and I'll spend the whole day there, or hiking.
Yeah. What's it at Korean spa? I don't know if I've ever been to a Korean spa.
Oh my gosh. Well, you can go to, it's the Olympic spa. That's where I go. It's in Koreatown. And no, I'm not endorsing them for anything, but you could go there and they have like 5 or 6 different steam rooms. They have a jade floor that's really hot. They have an infrared sauna. They have these women that scrub your body for 2 hours, and you come out and everything's like, you feel like you're completely raw. They do really deep massage. And then you could just lay down and relax. They have great Korean food there. You can go from hot tub to cold tub. They have this really hot tea sit-in that detoxifies. So you know what? I just feel really good. We got to go. You should go.
Good. That sounds really nice.
Yeah, I love it.
I've been to like a Japanese, but they're too light. They're too delicate.
Oh. Okay, well, then you will not get like a Korean spa. Yeah. Actually, you come back with bruises, and my friend went, she goes, oh, he got beat up, So you have to pretty much like firm massage.
Yeah, well, I love that. And then throwing Korean food, I think I'm in heaven. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I love it too.
All right, so I really want to get into why I know a lot of people are going to be watching this show, because we really set it up for people to learn how they can apply some of the success strategies that you've had in your life, Cynthia, to their own life, and sort of wherever they are, because not everyone's a martial arts action hero. But the same principles apply, and the same ways that you've been able to reach your success are things that people can adapt to their own lives. So I want to go over some kind of your general strategies or your philosophy really around success. So if you looking back now, and I know it's hard when you're going through it, but as you look back on it now, what is it that you think of like, wow, this is what really worked. This is what really took me to that next level?
Well, I think number one, you have to be positive. You can't let negativity come in. And also, you know, you have to know what you want and go for it, you know, and there's going to be failures. And I guess one of the things I've learned from training in martial arts is not to accept failure, that if you do fail, you just pick yourself right back up and you become stronger. One of my philosophies is you got to stay happy, you know, like a lot of everybody has, you know, stuff going on in their life that's not good. And you can't focus on that, you know, you have to deal with it, but look for things that make you happy. Like, you know, sometimes I think, well, what if this was your last day on earth? Because nobody knows, what would you do? And I try to keep that, you know, and I'll like go, oh, I love just dancing in the kitchen with my dog. That makes me happy. So, you know, there's little things in life that make you happy. It doesn't, you know, people can't say, well, I don't have the money to do this, or I can't do that. So it's just basically finding in your heart what makes you happy and keep in a happy place. And I find when you are happy, people feel that energy and they get good vibes from you. And then, you know, you keep that and then you work on your goals. You know, what do you want to do? Should I do this? Should I do this? You know, I mean, I don't do everything I want to do because sometimes I lose focus. You know, I want to write a book. I've been writing a book ever since I was pregnant because I thought, oh, that was in '99. I thought, oh, I'll have time to write my book. Well, I still haven't done it, you know, but I have other things that I do. So you just need to just really focus and be happy. I think that's like my
That's an agreement right there.
Yeah, but I agree. Take us for a walk.
So I like this because many of the things you just mentioned are kind of on that same theme about positive, not letting failure sort of keep you down. And I know a lot of people think that it's kind of the opposite, or that it's the other way around, where if everything was going the way they wanted it to, then they could be happy. Rather than, how about trying being happy and then see how everything fits in place instead? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, you know what, when people do that, you've got to just look and say, what's good in my life? You know, look at, I have my house. I can feed my family. I'm eating, you know, whatever. I have pets. I can go to the park and sit there and listen to music. You know, you got to find the happiness, because then when you say, oh, I can't do that, or it's too hard or whatever, you're not going to do it. You know, and I thoroughly believe if you, in your mind, say, I can't do it, it's not going to happen. You know, but if you keep saying it is going to happen, it is going to happen, you know, then, you know, you have a much better chance that it's not. You know?
Yeah. When you're teaching a student on the mat, and how is it that you motivate them to go a little bit further than where they think they can go?
Well, in my seminar recently, I just started calling it the warrior spirit. And what I tried to show them is, you know, when you come into your class, you're only training like maybe an hour, but you got to incorporate this warrior spirit. And not only in martial arts, in anything you do. And what that is doing the best you could do. Like some people will come in and do like, you know, moves, and they'll go like this, like really slow, instead of, you know, going really fast. You should put 100% effort into anything that you do. And that's how you're going to get better. And otherwise, it's just, you know, if you're learning something or you're going for something, if you're just like walking through the steps on a slow pace, you're just kind of, you know, not really accomplishing anything. So I motivate them by that way, is try to change their way of training. And then in the end, they know they've worked out harder, they've learned. And one of the things I always do is teach something new, just something new. So every time I'm with someone goes out the door learning something that they haven't had before. And I've always had that philosophy when I was teaching, is that teach your students something new to keep them excited.
Yeah, part of it is to have, to want to learn, right? I mean, I think that's having a curiosity is really helpful.
Yeah, you have to want to. And you know what it is? Sometimes we do things that we don't want to, but we have to. And it's like, you know, with me, I hated push-ups. I never wanted to do them. And then I just kept saying, I love push-ups. I love push-ups. Why do I love push-ups? Because my arms are going to get firm. I'm going to get stronger. I love push-ups. I can't wait to do my push-ups, you know. And deep inside, I hated them, you know, but it works. You know, it works if you change your mind, you know, like I have to do my taxes. I still haven't done them, but, you know, I'm like, okay, I got to do it.
I love my taxes.
No, you know what it would be? I'll love when I finish it because then I don't have to worry like I've been worrying for the past year about doing that, you know? So it's just, you know, changing. And, you know, you can't do it all the time. I don't do it all the time. I wish I could. But, you know, when you think about it, you go, okay, you know, what I need to do, you know? So I'll probably start my taxes when I get done with this interview.
So you really got discovered, essentially. By that person being there and seeing you and going, yeah, we're going to go with a girl instead, right? And I think people could look at that and go, well, that's just being in the right place at the right time. That's just because she's lucky. I'm not lucky. That can never happen for me. But what I really want to, you know, pipe in here is that you had already done all the heavy lifting. Like you'd already done all the showing up every day for training. You had already done all the work and were totally prepared to be discovered, luckily. Right?
It wasn't really that easy because think about it, they were looking for a guy, you know, so that's why sometimes I always tell people, you know, go in and do your best because maybe you could change the people's mind. And also when I did that movie, I didn't do the movie for a year and a half. I actually thought they forgot about me because they were in Hong Kong and nobody contacted me. And then, you know, I'm still competing and I was on the cover of the Karate Illustrated magazine. And what happened is someone saw that, did an article on me in a newspaper saying, hey, this girl is the best at what she does. And then Peter Jennings, you know, for some of us that remember Peter Jennings, he put me on the news and he said, look out, Hong Kong, here she comes. Well, this is a year and a half later. And then Sammo Hung sees it and he says, who's this girl that's coming to Hong Kong? And Corey Yoon said, that's the girl that was in America that I liked. And then that's how it got started. So it wasn't like really, you know, it was a lot of different circumstances and situations that, you know, led to it. So it wasn't just, oh yeah, boom, there I go. I mean, there was a lot of, you know, obstacles along the way.
Yeah. You know, people look at the end result and they go, oh, she was an overnight success. Yeah. How many years of training went into that overnight success?
Oh, yeah. Training, bruises. You know, when I was testing for my black belt, my instructor brought Koreans in and they said, nobody can fight. They all fight by crap. Right. And they fought us for 3 weeks and they would go throw a spinning kick and I knew it was coming. I knew they were going to sweep my leg out and boom, there I was like on my hip on the floor. And I come home all bruised and my mother, you know, like just crying from pain. And my mother's like, you got to quit. You know, you got to quit. And I was like, no, I can't. But, you know, you know, really most of the time for most of the people, nothing comes easy. You know, it doesn't. In my world, it doesn't. And people I know it doesn't. But, you know, it's all really working at it, you know, and putting yourself in positions where things could happen.
Yeah. So when do you quit? When do you know it's time?
Never. I'm never going to quit. I'll be, my friend, you know, when I was trekking Everest, my knee kind of went out and he told the instructor, because I was like going, oh, am I going to be making it? And my friend said, if she has to crawl to Everest, she'll do it. So, you know, that's my attitude is like, you know, when people say to me, oh, I can't do martial arts, I'm too old, or, oh, I weigh too much or whatever. And it's like, no, you do it. It doesn't matter. You know, nobody cares but you. You got to better yourself. You're never too old to do anything. You know, maybe you have to cut back a little bit on something like, okay, I can't do that move, but I could do this move, you know, and I think that's a big mistake is when people say I'm too old to do it. I can't do that anymore because you can always change something to make it work no matter what it is. And for me, that's my attitude, you know, like hopefully when I'm like 90, I'll be climbing Kilimanjaro in my mind.
And doing the Rothrock sting, boom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So never too old to do anything. So if someone is like watching this or listening to this and they've never tried martial arts, what would you like to say to them?
I would say, definitely, I honestly believe that everybody should know martial arts. I mean, this world is so unsafe right now. You've got to know how to protect yourself or maybe protect your loved ones. I would say go to a school and go to a couple schools in your area and look how the classes are. Look how the instructor is. See what you like. Different styles appeal to different people. And try it. Try it out. You're going to get sore at first because you're using, muscles you haven't used, and you're going to feel like, I don't want to get out of bed. But it's just a transition. You have to get past that. And then your body's going to get good. You're going to learn how to defend yourself. Your body's going to get in shape. You're going to lose weight. Your cardio is going to get good. Your heart's going to get better. It's just a win-win situation. And some people go, well, I don't have money to do it. Well, go find a YMCA or a gym or someone that offers that. There's no excuses. It's just a total great thing for everybody to do. And, there's people that get their black belts like in their 80s.
It's so cool. Right?
Yeah.
So it's so important that we keep moving. In fact, I just did a show recently with a doctor that was talking about the relationship between the body and the brain. And so a lot of people think, well, you have to change your mindset and get yourself to move your body or whatever. And this doctor was talking about how really you can also work it the other way. You can really just start moving your body, and then your brain will catch up, and you start, different hormones get released, and you start feeling better. So it doesn't have to come always just one way. Like, you don't just have to white knuckle it and you think you have to find about working out. It's really about just getting moving and letting the energy start flowing.
Yep, I agree.
So when you've got people in your dojo, or you don't have a dojo anymore, right? You're yeah. So, but you're going to other dojos and you're doing seminars and so forth. What kinds of things you want them to walk away with when you walk out of a seminar?
I want them to walk away happy, feeling like it was fun, and that they've learned something that is going to make them either a better martial artist or a better person. That's not what I want them to walk away with. And I make sure they do.
And do you do that mostly by getting them to move? Like, I'm interested in I've actually hired different people to come in and do seminars at my school. Bill Wallace is going to be here next week. You should come, by the way.
Yeah.
We should have some Yeah, let's do that. Anyway, but some of them like to talk a lot, and then other of them don't like to talk at all, and they just have you moving, and they just are putting you through the paces and letting you sort of discover your own things. And then other ones like to do a lot of the talking. What's your style?
My style is I like to talk, but not that much. We do a lot of work. We do a lot of hard work. They are sweating at the end of my class, but I like to keep it funny. I keep it fun for them. I keep it informal. It's not like a drill sergeant. They can ask me questions. I'll look when I see everybody's getting tired. I'll give them a break, and I'm just very personal. And that just comes from my sincere effort to help someone out, whether it's with their kicks or it's with their stretching, or maybe everything is good, but their facial expression isn't good. That's what I'm saying is, you gotta bring the warrior spirit into it. If you're doing a kata and you're supposed to be fighting people, you have to feel it, you have to look it, and I think most of these people, when they're training, they don't do that. And then it kind of gives them a little bit of, like you said before, motivation to be better, to train harder, and I just did a seminar. We were teaching sword, and the little girl was ready to quit, and she really loved the sword, and all of a sudden she was like, I can't wait to get back to class. Her excitement, enthusiasm, and love for martial arts was, recreated, and the parents came over to me and said, thank you so much, and I love that, because that, otherwise this girl probably would have quit, and that would have been the end of her, martial art career.
Yeah. Well, that's really what you do, Cynthia, even for all those little girls and big girls like me who haven't had a chance to tell you that. You are an inspiration. Your body of work speaks for itself, but that you continue on this path of being of service to us and inspiring and motivating all of us. I appreciate it so much, and I wanted to thank you for that. And thank you for being on the show today. How can people find you and keep up on what it is that you're doing?
They can on Facebook, and I know I've exceeded the amount of friends, but I keep everything public, and people could still message me. I also do Instagram and Twitter. You know, they can find me, and I have a website that is cynthiarothrock.org, and they can message me through that as well.
Great. Okay, well, you got it, folks. You know how to find Cynthia Rothrock. You want to watch Martial Arts Kid. That should be out shortly. And the other 2 movies are coming soon as well, Cynthia?
Yeah, I have a couple coming out. I have one called White Tiger that will be coming out as a total action picture. I did a film with Sean Stone, who's Oliver Stone's son, called Enter the Fist. That's the funniest thing I ever did. And I love comedy, so it's the first time I got to act in comedy. Yes, you know. So that's coming out. And Showdown in Manila, which is another action picture, should be coming out too. So they should all be coming out this year.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to be watching movies again soon. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Cynthia. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here. You know, you can kick it up in your own life. Please follow me here on Proudcast and at mastermel.com. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.
To Kick Up Your Life with Master Mel. Each week, learn how to optimize your business and your life with Master Melodee Meyer as she speaks with thought leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and high achievers to discover their secrets of success. Kick Up Your Life with Master Mel every week right here on Radio Star Worldwide.
Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Oh yeah. Now when is Bill doing the seminar?
Bill is coming. Let me check.
Very good.
The end of this month. Yes, thank you so much, Craig. Craig, Cynthia.
Yeah, sorry I got here a little bit late.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
But I had this thing called another job, so.
Ed took good care of us, not to worry.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. Very good on your thing there. I had no idea of all the movies that you did, and one of the things that I really appreciated was when you said you're never too old to do anything. Yeah. At the tender age of 47, I decided to become a stuntman, and people just looked at me like, "What? That's a younger guy's game. What are you trying to prove?" I said, "I'm not trying to prove anything. I just like what I saw where I was working." It's a place called Rawhide. It's an old West town, and they do stunt shows and such. And I just watched a few of the stunt shows and thought, I want to do that. So I went through the audition, which was very grueling. And a couple of days later, I'm thinking, okay, I didn't get anything. I haven't heard anything. Next thing I know, the guy comes up. He says, "Welcome to the Rough Riders." Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You would have said, listen to everybody saying, no, I had actually a stunt coordinator tell a friend of mine to quit stunts, to quit movies. He's too old and he's never going to get in it. And he devastated him. And I said, no, absolutely not. And then he kept doing it. And now he's, working on films and stuff. So, I don't go for that when people say, if they say you can't do it, that makes me want to do it even more.
Right, exactly.
I've got a student who's actually been teaching for us, who's leaving us in Santa Barbara to go to LA. She wants to be a stunt woman. She's really excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for her. Okay, Bill's going to be here on next Friday, so a week from today. He's going to do a boxing seminar on Friday night, and then he's doing kicking on Saturday.
Okay. Well, maybe I can pop up Friday. Saturday, I have some kind of, some award show in San Diego that I said I'd go to. So,
yeah. And I'm not sure. I'll send you the details. And
okay.
It would be great to have you out.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks, you guys. We'll see.
Right.
And I'll send that article to you.
Okay. Take care.
Right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Kick Up Your Life with Master Mel. Each week, learn how to optimize your business and your life with Master Melodee Meyer as she speaks with thought leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and high achievers to discover their secrets of success. Kick Up Your Life with Master Mel every week right here on Radio Star Worldwide.